Hello and welcome. Right now we're going to talk about taking care of you. This is a two-part section, and the first section we're going to be looking at why it's important that you take care of yourself. You remember we talk about having some inspirational pieces in the book. They're designed to give you an opportunity to pause and reflect and feel positive. I've got a wonderful piece in here. It's in 4-color, and it's another piece that you may want to frame. Certainly make color copies of it if you'd like. Put it up. This is a quote from author Joseph Campbell, and I just thought it was perfect for what you and I are going through. We must be willing to let go of the life we have planned so as to accept the life that is waiting for us. So I know what you planned, or I have a pretty good idea of what you anticipated going forward with your loved one, and obviously the course has been significantly altered. So keep that in mind. We have to let go of what we planned and be open to what we now face in order to go forward successfully. Within this chapter, I've got 10 points, and it's called Surviving, and these are the action steps that I would strongly recommend that you seriously consider and review on a regular basis. These are the steps that you can take to know that you're on point in taking care of yourself, and taking care of yourself emotionally, physically, intellectually, spiritually, in any way, in any and all ways. We don't necessarily need to review this right this moment, but take a look at these 10 steps and understand why I'm recommending them. I think they speak for themselves. By participating in this program, number one, you're already making use of a lot of these steps and allowing yourself to gain knowledge and understanding and find a support team. Those are big parts of surviving this, okay? This is not a journey that you can take alone. So if you are the wife or the husband and you think you don't want to burden your children, it is not a burden to your children. I am the child. In my situation, it was not a burden. It was more upsetting when my sister and I were left out of the equation because my father was going to handle it himself and he could fix what was wrong with my mother, okay? So once I was brought into it, I felt much more satisfied, and of course, I have to be honest, it made a big difference for my dad, okay? When we talk about taking care of you, I also want to say reality. You've heard me mention this time and again, and I do put this in sections of the book throughout. According to the National Alzheimer's Association, 70% of family caregivers will succumb, that is, die or develop a chronic condition that will affect their life. 70% will succumb before the loved one they're caring for. That's just how daunting this journey is. So keep that in mind. I want to tell you, sadly, I've met many, many people who are right on the verge, and unfortunately, I've gone to way too many memorials in the last few years. So this does happen, okay? Delete denial and accept reality. I know this is painful, but the sooner that you come to terms with the reality of the diagnosis of your loved one and take action, and those action steps are learning everything you possibly can about the disease that they've been afflicted with, involving yourself with support groups, finding people that completely understand without you having to explain anything. They completely understand what's going on in your life, and they really do feel your pain. An area that isn't very often discussed, usually comes way into the process, but it's a situation that you're experiencing early on, is your grief. You're actually enduring the same grieving process as if you were experiencing a death. You're watching the end of life as you knew it with that person that's so dear to you. You're angry, you're resentful, you're in denial, all the things that you would go through in the stages of grief. And eventually, you too will come to accept what has befallen your loved one and therefore befallen your life. Once you accept, you see things in a very different perspective, and it makes it much easier for you. I talk about in this chapter how I thought I had managed everything so well. I was so in control of things. After my father passed away, I still was handling things beautifully. And one day, I started crying. And this crying jag lasted for 14 solid days. It didn't matter what was going on. I just cried at the drop of a hat. I went to a support group meeting and I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. Look, I've done all of these things over the last 3.5 years and I've handled all of this and now I just can't stop crying. And a wonderfully wise woman who had long since buried her husband and stayed in the support group to help others said, you know what? You're grieving the loss of the mother you knew because she is not the mother you have today. And I thought, my God, how simplistic and yet how real. And those wonderfully wise words that Karen gave me changed the way I saw things too. Another thing that's really important, culturally, you know, we are very, very giving people. Whenever there are tragedies that befall our friends or neighbors or other parts of the world, Americans are the first to get out there and want to do things for people. While we're very, very good at giving, we are awful at accepting. Okay, think about it. When you hear that somebody has a problem or somebody's not well, the first thing you do is pick up the phone and say, what can I do to help you? And 99% of the time the answer is, oh no, nothing, we're fine, I can handle it. Well, you call again and you put out the offer so many times and you get the rejection. No matter how sincere it sounds, you are being rejected and you finally say, well, I'm not calling Mildred anymore or Hazel anymore because they don't need my help. You know what? You've really injured a very special friend or family member when you refuse to accept their help. They want to connect with you. They want to be there for you. So I'm urging you, not encouraging you, I'm urging you to form what I call the helping hands circle in your life. And I want to ask you to get a calendar out. I don't print it off the internet or get a standard calendar for the month. And put down the things that are coming up that you can anticipate. Even the simplest things. Going to the pharmacy, you know how many weeks out you're going to have to get medication, or you're getting haircuts, or things that have to be done. Your dog has to be groomed. Write those down, and when someone calls and says, Helen, what can I do to help you? This is what I want you to say. You know, Millie, would it work for you to come and visit Harry while I get my hair cut? Would it work for you to pick up some medications for me at the pharmacy sometime this week? Gee, Millie, you make the best meatloaf, and I am so tired. I'm just not keeping up the meal planning the way I'd like to. Would it work for you to make an extra batch of meatloaf for me next time you make meatloaf? I'd sure appreciate it. Do you have any idea how gratifying it is to hear that there's a way to help? It's wonderful. And believe me, you will love the fact that you got an extra meal. You will love the fact that somebody ran the errand for you so you could stay home. And you have other things to do. Or maybe you got to really just put on a headset and listen to some music. Whatever it is. Be open to accepting the help. Build a beautifully large circle of friends. You're going to be surprised at how many people do want to help you. Let me just caution you, not everyone is going to be comfortable spending time with your afflicted loved one as that disease advances, because they're not going to quite understand how to make conversation. We'll talk about that too. But in the meantime, find the simple things that they can help you with, make them feel great, and then feel good about the fact that one less thing is on your list of things to do. And as I've often said, join a support group. Call the Alzheimer's Association in your community. Find the local chapter. They're listed in the phone book. Certainly find them online. Ask them when they have support groups. They will have them for you to participate in. They will be a wonderful, wonderful source of support for you. You will find that these people can become your closest, dearest friends, okay? It's real, real important. I encourage you to do that.